喂，各位好啊！星期六午安啊，星期五晚嘅晚安啊，各位幾好啊嘛？我係綠木啊，我經過咁耐之後，我翻嚟啦，我翻嚟開台啊，竟然係，不過我仲會開台嘅咩？唔知，但係我開咗。咁就今日咧，就係難得開始啲工作，輕鬆翻少少。咁既然係咁。我梗係事不宜遲，翻嚟開一開台打打機啦，因為我都好耐冇打過機啦，好慘啊！唔知大家覺得最近如何呢？都就嚟聖誕咯，唔知大家係唔係已經準備好晒禮物，準備好晒嚟緊嘅派對？但係 by the way，今晚係冬至喎，咁祝大家冬至快樂先啦。希望如果係同家人過嘅，就過得開開心心美滿嘅。咁如果同啲屋企人唔係咁啱嘅，都不過冬大過年嘛，都建議大家見下屋企人都係會一件比較好嘅事嚟嘅。咁啊係啦，呢一個呢，我知道好醜樣啊，但係呢，係我自己無聊做嘅一個少少嘅開場嘅 screen 啦。咁嗰粒好可愛嘅花生呢，咁肥嘅花生呢，就係我嚟嘅。我哋就要多謝我哋最好嘅母母。咁呢，佢就幫我之前呢一啲原因之下呢，佢畫咗一幅咁嘅圖啊。咁啊畫咗我就掠佢啦。啊，可唔可以用呢一幅圖嚟俾我做 icon 啊？咁佢就話好，咁我就好心懷感激咁樣使用佢啦。咁呢。見到呢一個 screen 啦，咁都係貼翻之前我講我其實好中意《星空奇遇記》啦。咁呢一個咧係《星空奇遇記》嘅呢個 Voyager，冇記錯應該係 Voyager 嘅呢個 transporter room 嚟嘅。所以咧，就好似整到我好似咁樣縫出嚟啦，咁就縫咗啦。唔識整音效啊，唔識整靚啲嘅動畫啊，唔好問我，唔知。盡力而為，我係一個完全冇 art sense 嘅小孩子嚟嘅，所以大家唔好見怪。咁係啦，等我飲多啖水，睇下差唔多開 game 啦。不過都應該今日冇乜人睇㗎啦，不過冇所謂啦。照開台啦，有嘢傾得出嘅就傾啦。咁如果唔係嘅，我就默默咁樣玩下遊戲啦。什麼東西？咦，竟然係你啊！你好啊！你冇乜嘢啊？你乜嘢都有，我係懶得出嚟揾你啫。如果唔係我今日好多嘢俾你噶。哇！你冇 art sense，屌你老味！你平時砌埋啲模型係乜撚嘢嚟嘅？你就説什麼屁啊！好開心啊，可以打機啊，可以打機啊我。咁啊係啦，唉，咁唔知你做乜啦？我係懶得出嚟嘅。如果唔係我係有嘢俾你嘅，都有唔少嘢俾你嘅。OK，我連跟圖都唔識啊！我依模型咪又係你砌嘢，説什麼？係咪？咁啊係啦，呢個就係我無聊小圖啦。咁樣咧，等我再 set up 埋啲嘢先啊，都係唔記得咗 set up 啲嘢嘅哈，果然係一個白痴仔。睇下先，揾翻先。好，咁我就咁樣先。好啦，差唔多可以開始啦。我相信大家都今日過冬啊，成啊邊有人嚟睇啊？你睇啊，因為你喺呢邊啫。係咧，大概係咁咧。咁我哋就轉翻去 game 畫面咯噃。睇下先啊，睇我識唔識轉先。噔噔噔噔，然後就咁樣，耶，轉到啊，好叻啊，扮晒嘢咁樣。係啊，今日就繼續玩翻啊《星空奇遇記》啦。都冇乜嘢特別噶啦。上一次玩到邊，其實我都唔記得啦。我就記得，總之係經歷咗第一個大事件之後，然後準備出發去嗰個被嗰個類似電離子風暴困住嘅 星海領域啦，嗰個 system 啦，係啦。咁我哋又去遊玩啦。係啦。咁見到啊，全體迷航啊。我哋繼續迷啦。唔知大家最近點啦？而家喺個台嘅嗰個唯一嘅觀眾就前一排病完啦。唔知病好未啦？應該好啲啩？應該病好嘅，今日可以食 pizza 喎，雖則啊，係俾我老屈去食 pizza 嘅。嗱，咁我哋就見到好多個隕石喺度啦。硬牙唔好撞親我啊！我哋嚟到一個正確嘅坐標啦。男人叫我戇鳩鳩就揾隻船出嚟啦。喂，好傻噶喎！你呢個叫我唔知點轉好喎呢個。其實你係咪戇鳩噶？我睇到個儀表係有轉嘅，但係咧，我就唔知自己轉緊啲乜喎。佢係真係叫我係咁喺度轉個 mouse 喎。咁我唔用，如果我唔用 wireless 嘅話，咁點算咧？其實我諗緊個問題係嗱，咁佢唔理我，佢唔轉嘅喎。呢個遊戲咁奇特嘅，點解啊？點解要咁樣啊？佢傻嘅喎，真係咁樣叫我轉個 mouse 嘅喎。我睇下有冇其他掣代替啊？陰公，妖，原來佢到最後係叫我左右係咁瞓啊，好白痴啊！喺度左右瞓，左右瞓，左右瞓就可以個。喂，咁你都要俾我繼續瞓到上去先得噶？咦？喂啊！爭我少少啊！爭我少少啊！唉，轉到啦，黐線咩啊？你想改我部？你唔係講緊部 W 外傳啊嘛？唔好改，食我打啦，鑊你啊！哇，睇嚟穿梭機有問題喎。咁點算啊？咁決定拉布，去控制個牽引器啦。早晨啊，羅生，早晨啊，拖羅，早晨啊，早晨啊，係啊，又喺豬扒時間啊，你哋冇人開我就開啦，咁樣係啦。但係咧，我明明頭先見到羅生好似忙緊噶噃，羅生應該做緊啲嘢噶噃。穩定。喂，又轉戇鳩嗎？哇哇，喂，我喺度等待咗你都接近10分鐘喎，你唔可以咁樣話我噶喎，陰公。等先啊。我要用，OK，掀開咗佢啦。又到你啦。喂，好無聊嘅小遊戲啊！我就係為咗睇古仔嘅呀，唔好撞啊！唔好撞開，唔好撞我部 shuttle 啊！ 黐線乜嘢無聊小遊戲啊！呢個好恐怖啊！哇咩料啊！隻 game 咁窒嘅，喂，點解隻 game 咁窒㗎？你係一隻好舊嘅 game 嚟嘅喎，你唔好咁咧。啊！竟然用個護盾嚟擋，哇！屌大力出奇蹟喎！唉，羅生你開啦，大班人想睇你開台係咪先？OK，哦 set 個攔截路線，哦撞過去，哇黐線喎，肉身黨喎，哇夾硬，好咁啊，慢慢拉佢過嚟啦，拉到嚕，一堆無聊小遊戲之後，終於拉到啦。喂，點解我 mon 個畫面啊？喂，點解啊？點解咁窒啊？莫非因為我錄緊嘅關係，會唔會關事嘅？其實，因為我其實同時間 stream 之後，我都仲錄緊嘅。因為我覺得咧，如果用 Twitch 咁樣咧，send 過去咧，係冇咁靚嘅畫面。啊！我要以前隻熊邊隻熊啊，師傅邊一部嗰隻熊啊？哇，係閃撲啊！哇，濕晒硬啊硬啊，好興奮啊！OK，誒，頭先唔好意思啊，有啲波折啊。誒，鮮紅啦，鮮紅啦。誒，到咗就冇問題啦，最緊要平平安安啊嘛。咁因為我本身隻咁嘅飛船仔啊，唔夠實淨啊，所以啊就爭啲撞咗啦。一觸即發嘅戰爭啊，又到新一個 chapter 啦。咁啊話呢隻 game 其實每一個 chapter 都好短嘅啫， 但係佢就用好多個 chapter 咁樣構成咯。咁但係其實玩呢隻 game 前前後後玩都可能會玩10個鐘頭嘅。咁如果真係玩咧，都可能仲要玩多幾集嘅。咁係啦，我都係留個記錄啦。咁希望可以等大家認識下《星空奇遇記》呢個作品啦。咁正如之前所講啦，咁都真係好中意同埋影響我好深嘅。咁係啦，我哋又要去做外交啦，應該係。咁有2個星球啦。咁呢個二離晶體咧，就係佢哋要用曲速引擎最必要嘅原料之一嚟嘅。咁所以對呢個星空奇遇記嘅世界嚟講咧，係一個好重要嘅礦物嚟嘅。死啦！我而家先發覺，原來我一直刪咗個 game 聲啊！等一陣啊，唔好意思啊。證明你哋冇人留意啦，冇人睇個台。開下 game 聲啦。係啊，好差。
When they requested Federation mediation, but the details remain scant. Communications between all parties have been limited by the ionic interference.
How is it the Hotari were able to turn the tables and take the minds against superior forces,
聽我講
especially
嘢，
after
我講
decades
嘢
in
有
this
咩好聽
arrangement?
啫？咁你諗下，
Unclear.
喂，頭先我好多時候都
The
靜
answer
咗
to
好耐
that
噶嘛，咁你
question
冇
may
聲
be
咁
the
何
key
必
to
咧？
a new, lasting peace, and one that I hope we can uncover during these negotiations.
你好失策啊，好
But it
渣
is
啊
unlikely the relatively primitive Hotari forces would stand a chance against the Elydian fleet if this escalates to open war. Left unchecked, this conflict will result in more bloodshed, which is what we are here to prevent.
And the dilithium trade hangs in the balance.
Clearly, the Hotari have been exploited in this relationship.
Maybe we can persuade them peace is the more profitable alternative for everyone. They both profited from the mines.
係嘅
And
係
for the
嘅，知
Hotari,
你勤力
something
啊，
is
知
better
你
than
勤力
nothing.
幫我砌緊嘢
Peace
，OK？
is our objective after all.
That is correct.
We can call it profitable or mutually beneficial, but at the end of the day, the Hotari are still being exploited for their own resources.
True peace is not
咁
merely
講
the
緊
absence of war.
兩邊啦，兩邊就係如果你見到紫色嗰堆咧，就係比較先進啲嘅一個外星文明啦。咁黃色嗰邊咧就係冇咁科技發達嘅。咁咧喺大概1個世紀之前咧，佢哋就進行咗第一次接觸。咁然後就係喺冇咁先進嗰方面嘅外星人嘅星球隔離個衛星咧，上面就有啲二離晶體嘅礦石。咁佢哋就係諗本身一直係合作咁樣嚟開發呢啲咁嘅資源啦。咁但係當然因為科技冇咁發達嘅一方咧，咁一定係被剝削噶啦。咁而家佢哋就嘗試翻盤啦。咁就面臨一個好隨時發動戰爭嘅危機啦。咁呢個就係大概而家我哋面對嘅狀況啦。有時間先睇 Messenger 吓 ？OK， 唔使有時間㗎，為咗你喎，而家一定有啊！即刻而家 我明白你嘅 concern。咁左邊隻色咪其實有啲似 justice 個顏色咯。咁其實係靚㗎，係咯。咁但係你有邊隻色咪用邊隻色咯，係咪先？咁無謂要等啦。咁呢一個就係上一次情節之後，就佢哋每一個人對我嘅觀感啦。咁大家都仲覺得勉強覺得我 OK 嘅，覺得慶幸啊咁樣嘅。咁但係當然最嬲我就係之前艦長啦，屌撚晒我啦。咁但係呢隻 game 就係咪可以買晒兩邊呢？咁要繼續玩落去先知啦。咁我哋繼續啦。
And as such, this conflict will surely come again.
Neither the Illidians or the Hotari are members of the Federation, so we can't make them do anything.
There is an additional complicating factor I should mention. In the past, the Federation has relied on the Illidians as a source of dilithium.
That certainly changes things.
The Federation sources its dilithium from a lot of places.
Yeah, and this is one of them.
So we've already played a part in this.
Unfortunately, that is indeed the case, Commander Rydek.
We're morally obligated to make this right.
Hold on. Our only obligation is to negotiate the peaceful resolution of this conflict.
Given the Federation's involvement in the Illidium dilithium trade, Captain Solano and I must make every effort to appear neutral in these negotiations.
What worries me is if this whole thing unravels and we're at the mercy of the storm at less than full strength.
We can't let it come to that.
Considering what the ion storm has done to our ship and the Ambassador's shuttle, we have to assume the Illidian fleet has had problems with it as well. This recent surge in the energy disturbance temporarily levels the playing field.
Commander Westbrook is correct. The energy anomalies around the Hotari systems have been noted in the past. But they have never been observed on the orders of magnitude
對
we
住
have
閃撲都係
seen
正
in
正經
recent
經講嘢
weeks.
先。我始終唔係 Captain Kirk 嘅。
If it's keeping the two sides talking instead of shooting at each other, that actually helps us negotiate a peace.
And we'll take advantage of that as long as it works in our favor.
And when it doesn't?
All the more reason to learn as much about it as we can while we are here. We do not want to be caught unprepared, should the energy anomaly continue to fluctuate. So I trust we understand our circumstances.
We're operating on a strict timetable here, and we're going to be leaving for the negotiations shortly. Commander Westbrook, I want you to leverage our systems to investigate the anomaly from here while we're gone.
Aye, Captain.
Thank you all.
Dismissed.
I want to speak to both of you privately.
哇！閃撲隊長要同我傾偈，好興奮，好
Ambassador
緊張
Spock,
啊！
I'd like to make a formal introduction. My first officer, Commander Jara Rydek.
Commander, as you are aware, there are limits to what Captain Solano and I can do in our official capacity as representatives of the Federation. But someone in an unofficial capacity, your first officer, for example, would not be bound by those restrictions. Commander Rydek could ingratiate herself to certain parties behind the scenes, where they may be more candid in revealing
因為
information
我
that
唔
could
係
lead
大粒
to a
嘢，
resolution.
我喺 under 你哋底下做嘢嘅。咁咧，
Goes her own way.
我就可以亂咁嚟啦。
That helps in
咁
this
亦都係俾你哋利用做
It
棋
would be
子啦。
unconventional, but I'm not opposed to it.
哇！你講到我乜都做啦。
I'm perfectly happy to work outside the lines.
And by extension, you will be doing your duty, Commander.
Just not too far outside the lines. Well, I hope Commander Rydek will have more luck finding out what really
係
happened.
啦，咁啊
We
差唔
will
多
through
過咗
official
20零分
diplomatic
鐘啦。
channels.
咁大家咧有冇飲啖水啊？記得啊，飲水啊，保持呢個充足嘅水分啊。Keep yourself hydrated, okay? Be healthy, people. 唔好飲廢水啊，唔好飲咁多廢水啊，快樂肥宅水等等哦。
Mr. Diaz, I understand you have already discussed the warp drive failure with Ambassador Spock?
I have.
It is imperative that the Ambassador's shuttle be flight ready. I need you both to ascertain the root cause of the system failures he encountered.
I'm surprised, Commander. I thought you would have wanted to work on
哇！
Ambassador
大佬
Spock's
點解
shuttle
條女
yourself.
即條
I
女樣
respect
衰
the
到一個
Ambassador
點？
and his many accomplishments, but I do not derive any satisfaction from interacting with his shuttle as if it were somehow transubstantiated through its association with him. Especially when I have the entirety of this starship to concern myself with. I am not the chief engineer of this shuttlecraft.
The ambassador asked me to take a look, and I'm ready to crack this thing open.
Good. You could learn from Mr. Diaz's focus.
明明就係好興奮嘅，我可以去摸
Then I will
呢
leave
個
you to it. Make note of any
聯邦政府嘅一個偶像嘅
abnormalities in your report.
呢個穿梭機
Carry
啊，
on.
好興奮啊！
Is in your report. Carry on.
It seems like he's warming up to us.
Yeah.
Even Chovok has to look at that face and know you've earned some real respect. And I have to admit that I owe you one. You were right to make me go first. I don't know what I was thinking.
呢啲時候梗係扮晒嘢咧，你都冇欠冇欠。
You've pulled me out of trouble how many times? Call it even.
Okay. At the very least, maybe I can track down that bottle of Saurian brandy you're still on the hook for. But first, we have work to do.
講起法蘭地咧，其實咧我諗緊啊，買支威士忌，諗住買支山崎12年俾父親做呢個聖誕禮物啊。咁啊，其實幾日前都諗噶啦。咁啊咁啱喎，又睇到咧去得飲下咧。之前喺台灣買嗰支咧，好多花香味嘅威士忌咧，飲完咯喎。咁啊，得翻一支普普通通嘅嘢咁樣咁啊，咁咪呢個咁啱今日發生嘅。但係我之前1-2日我已經諗緊聖誕節不如買支酒俾佢啦。咁啊係啦，咁啊諗下，不如試下支山崎12年，睇下好唔好飲啦。所以即係講到好似好 pro 咁，但係其實我唔識飲嘅。咁但係即好唔好飲啊，好唔好聞都應該仲分得出嘅。咁樣就諗住聽日去買啦。咁啊睇下。100-200蚊美金咁啊，差唔多啦，唔過分嘅。咁啊，聖誕節一年開開心心啦。咁啊，最近又唔知幾時先有得飛。咁如果唔係嘅，咁當然平時就會係喺個免稅店度買啦。咁樣咁，但係今次就咁樣啦。咁然後家務嘅話咧，咁啊之前就話買個枕頭俾我啊。咁樣即係佢，因為我有一個枕頭咧，佢有個位咧係墊住個頸嘅，咁我就自己幾中意嘅。咁佢好似我翻香港啊，定唔知去日本嗰時，佢瞓過1-2晚。咁佢話幾好喎。如果你想買聖誕禮物俾我啊，你又唔想咁破費啊，買個枕頭俾我啦。係咧，咁啊前幾日訂咗啦，咁啊睇應該呢幾日到噶啦。咁啊到時俾佢，到時臨尾聖誕嗰時俾佢啦。咁其實咧。我除咗咁樣之外咧，我仲買咗個 LEGO 嘅聖誕花環俾佢嘅。咁但係我未砌。咁其實我如果咁，我其實呢個週末要砌嘅啦，因為其實我應該更加早之前就砌嘅。咁聖誕花環嚟噶嘛，應該攞出嚟擺噶嘛。但係咧，咁啊因為太忙啦，咁啊一直都冇機會啦，咁啊導致到都冇砌到今時今日啦。咁啊，希望自己的起心肝呢個週末砌咗佢啦。咁都係千零塊嘅，應該唔會話真係用成日嘅。咁啊，可能到時開住片嚟睇啦。咁啊，一定有人睇嘅。如果我砌 LEGO 嘅話，咁但係我係冇 webcam 嘅，咁啊，所以冇得睇。即係突然間有人想話用 我公司部電腦嗰啲人咧，就可以叫佢收聲，唔好出聲住啦。咁啊係啦，咁我哋又翻去遊戲度啦。呢個就係我個最近呢一兩日嘅少少雜談啦。咁啊，翻去遊戲先。
Ready to go?
All set. Let's run the diagnostic.
你仲想要啲乜嘢啊？嚇？你仲想要聖誕禮物啊？真係？你諗清楚先好同我講呢句説話喎。睇先，咁啊開始 diagnostic。我公司電腦咁梗係你啦，得你同另外一個同事啫。
You do?
She sent me a priority 1 dispatch right after your conversation.
咁啊俾佢知道我同嗰條金髮妹有一腿啦。哎呀
Thanks.
But I'm only going to tell you this once. Don't screw this up. Because I would be very unhappy if you tried this out and then, I don't know, 6 weeks or 6 days later, I have to start splitting holidays between the two of you. All because things went south and you're not on speaking terms.
哎呀，我想 flirt 佢㗎，我想 flirt 佢㗎。哎呀，撳錯咗啦。
Why are you even going there? We haven't even gone on a date yet.
I just want you to know where I stand. I like my friends and I like our group. I don't want to lose that.
咁你一定有變數啊！
Yeah, it's wrapping up.
我身為一個人渣，
See,
我身為一個渣
relays along
男。
the primary EPS are blown. The backup relays are all intact.
An EPS overload from the warp drive could cause that. But how did the shuttle end up dead in the water?
Huh. Well, maybe the ship's data recorder can tell us something. Here.
They were only about 8 minutes from their plotted warp point. No faults, just those warnings. What are they?
Subspace variance out of tolerance. What does that mean?
It means the main navigation array lost sight of space somehow.
Will the array going offline cause that?
Yes, but it should have also thrown a fault code.
係嘅，係可以咁嘅。
The warp field became inverted
我懶
suddenly.
I've seen this happen when the center
唔好
warp
成日
coil
叫我掹咁
cracks.
多線。
A cracked warp coil throws a fault code.
Still, we should take a look.
插好多線我就覺得好煩㗎啦。睇先。
There was a complete warp cascade failure.
Wow. They're lucky the shuttle didn't turn inside out.
Makes me think the computer panicked
買
on
乜
the
嘢
warp
買
field
唔
equation.
買
Any one of these failures should have thrown a fault.
If it was
咁
caused
再
by
坐
a
買禮物
system
俾你添
failure.
啊。OK， 收聲
None。of this caused the relays to blow. Roll forward to when that happened.
Yes, ma'am.
應該入到嚟先有事嘅啫，係嘛？係
So here, they take a
啦。
moment to get their bearings and they attempt to re-engage the warp drive.
There. That's the relays blowing.
然後就失控啦。
And look, there's another warp system alert.
They're all the same. Subspace variance out of tolerance, or warp inversions. Finally, there's a complete warp cascade failure.
Then it's one of two things. Either a warp coil is cracked or the navigation array is offline.
That makes sense.
Divide and conquer. You want to check the warp coils or the navigation array? I'll check the other. Let's not overcomplicate this. One of these systems is likely broken.
I'll check the navigation array.
唔係，但係其實如果我聽日出嚟嘅話，我其實好多嘢要俾你嘅。咁當然咧，如果有人入嚟咧，就更加好啦。OK，咁啊咁二掣啊，就可以攞我個3度2出嚟啊。咁3度2係乜嘢咧？你諗成其實3度2就係現代嘅呢個 tablet 啊，或者一個 sensor 啦。咁佢上面有 有好多唔同嘅 sensor 可以調查到唔同嘅，例如關於天氣啊、環境啊等等嘅資料一個工具嚟嘅。咁啊一個 diagnostic tools 啦，咁啊係啦，就係咁樣啦。咁啊我哋就開個 tricorder 出嚟，然後揾下掃描睇下有咩問題啦。我唔知啦，我唔答啊，我乜都唔知，危險。我咪應該入去㗎，屌成個白痴仔咁喺出邊 scan 唔知 scan 乜鳩，但又唔入得去嘅噃，睇先啊！哇！睇到眼啊！哎呀，好恐怖啊！咁啊，當你掃描某啲嘢嘅時候，就會啟動呢個深度掃描啊。咁啊，你撳 Q 同埋 E 啊，可以切換唔同嘅掃描模式啊，並且可以收集發光嘅物體喎。咁啊，如果喺呢個模式底下呢，有尋找嘅物體啊，喺3度2嘅上邊嘅顯示指示燈啊，就會開始閃㗎咯喎。掃描晒所有物體之後啊，熒幕嘅外框啊都會改變顏色啊。咁啊，撳住個 mouse 右掣啊，唔放就可以分析資料，並且完成呢個掃描啦。感應器嘅過濾裝置啊，喺穿梭機嘅子空間感應器好容易受到內部系統嘅反向散射干擾啊。過濾器有助於減弱呢類型嘅輻射，讓感應器可以獲得清楚嘅偵測資料啊。咁啊，子空間感應陣列啊，負責監看船艦喺呢個速航行時正常空間同子空間嘅梯度轉移啊，未揾到任何嘅係物理損壞啊。咁啊，我哋就再換翻 radiation 嗰邊睇下有冇啲咩特別啦。因為而家望落去 bio 上邊係冇乜特別嘅。咁啊，望翻 radiation 咁啊，我哋 scan 下呢嚿嘢啦。咁我哋就掃描完結嘅咯噃，咁啊睇到都係正常嘅喎。
Navigation array checks out, so it must be a coil.
Except it's not. Checked and double-checked.
Well, the readings don't lie.
Here comes the security detail for the way team.
Hey.
喂，你好啊，女朋友。
I'm not here.
喂，做緊嘢㗎。
We're escorting the negotiating team to the surface as soon as they come down from the bridge. I don't want to interrupt some important work. I was just hoping to see you before I go.
係啊，出發前見下我，好 sweet 啊。
Should be an interesting ride down to the surface.
Well, we can't let the brass catch us slacking on the job. Just play along. This is a Mark IV outboard diagnostic panel used for troubleshooting shuttles and other medium-sized transport vehicles. Some people prefer the Mark V because it's one better, but the Mark IV is still one better than the Mark III.
That all sounds very technical.
Hey, Maris. Aren't these those button pushers you're always hanging out with?
And you're the phaser jockeys we always beat in Parisi squares, right?
All aboard for Hotari.
That another one of the captain's railroad things?
Gotta be. I just usually zone out by the time he gets to the whole, steam engines were the warp drives of their day part. Catch
喂
y'all
點解呢
later.
隻 game 啲人真係做得有點醜樣啊？我真係難頂少
You don't
少。
want to miss your train.
I
難
do
搞咗
have to
啲。
go.
咁我要走啦，再見啦，女朋友。
Not gonna
嘴
lie.
去，嘴
I'd rather
去，
not
嘴
leave
去，
right now.
嘴去。呢個時候梗係嘴啊，
More
嘴
important
爆
things
啊！
on my mind.
冇可能唔錫㗎，屌我呢啲咁嘅鹹濕仔。
That was nice.
Yeah, it was.
啊！
Save
呢
some of
一
that
吻
for
好
when I get
好
back.
正啊！
You've got a deal.
Be seeing you.
拜拜啦，女朋友。哎呀，咁又攞咗一個 achievement 啦！哎呀，決定同呢個 Miranda
It's
約
hard to
會
do
啊！
as. If you could float back down to reality, we still have a ways to go.
咁我唔通要呢個短髮妹咩？唔係
All
咁噶
right,
嘛。
where were we?
So the warp coils in the navigation
Hola,
ring
hop
are
lei,
fine,
ah.
but the nav computer doesn't seem to think so.
I'm out of ideas short of field stripping the shuttle from bow to stern.
You wanna take this out of the shuttle and throw it on the bench?
Oh, real hands-on maintenance. I like it. Okay, the nav computer is patched into the ship.
The ship's computer can double-check our work. If the shuttle's nav computer is putting out
咁
false
你
data,
聽晚
we'll
冇
know
節
it.
目
Let's run
嘛？
through the
我
shuttle's
咁問一
logs
問你啦。哎呀，問定先。
Running now.
兩個啊，應該唔可以搭，應該唔可以食晒兩條女嘅。
Same. Warp field inversion and a cascade failure. However, the Resolute computer doesn't show the same subspace variance.
We're in the same conditions that the shuttle was in when it failed. Why wouldn't the ship's computer get a matching result?
What if the subspace variance was a momentary occurrence?
That's a possibility, and it would explain why the simulation under our current sensor readings failed to reproduce the issue.
But a subspace anomaly strong enough to cause a warp field collapse would leave graviton ripples for days.
Let's run with the momentary subspace variance theory for now. Roll forward to the shuttle's attempt to re-engage the warp drive. We need the conditions of space around the shuttle at the moment of warp failure.
Resuming simulation.
Error in warp field calculation. Cochrane formula variables are out of range.
That right there. Take the shuttle sensor data from that moment.
Computer, why did the warp field calculation fail?
Warp field pressure return non-orthogonal. Results are undefined.
That doesn't help.
Wait, what if we use a different ship?
Put the Resolute into the simulation instead of the shuttle.
Yeah, it should warp just fine. Unless... Computer, run the simulation with the Resolute.
Resolute simulated.
Computer, give me manual control on the warp power.
Static field intensity, warp 1.1. 1.2. 1.3. Warp pressure is destabilizing. Error in warp field calculation. The warp drive has experienced a system-wide cascade failure. Warp field collapsed. Subspace variance is out of tolerance. Cochrane formula results are undefined.
Bingo.
What-o?
The same moment when the shuttle failed to warp, so did the ship. Whatever happened to the shuttle just happened to us. The Resolute will not sustain warp.
We can't leave Hotari space.
誒，咁你未搞掂單嘢，你都唔諗住走噶啦，冇乜所謂啦，係咪先？咁啱啱又過咗廿幾分鐘咯喎，大家差唔多又係時候飲啖水啦，要伸下懶腰嘅，伸下懶腰啦，喐下啲筋骨啦。如果唔係啊，老咗嘅時候就好麻煩噶啦，好似我咁噶啦，記得啊！咁啊，艦長同埋閃撲大使啊，就去咗落去個星球嗰度啦。
Captain Solano, welcome to Hotari. We are honored you've come. My name is Tyler Saltaris, Minister of Diplomatic Affairs.
The honor is ours. And this is Commander Jara Rydick, first officer aboard the USS Resolute. You'll find she has a keen mind and unique insight into the dynamics between the Hotari and the Illydians.
We are honored to be here as representatives of the Federation.
I'm so glad.
These must be the representatives of the mighty Federation, the reigning authority in the galaxy. Or so we've been led to believe. Whether that's true or not remains to be seen. But either way, we're grateful you've made the time to come to our little corner of the universe.
And you are?
This is Galvin, and this is Citron, the heroes of the revolt in the mines.
哦，嚇得我以為佢啤住我喎，原來啤住另外呢堆咁嘅成堆八爪魚咁嘅樣嘅外星人。
If you'll excuse me.
咁你睇到兩邊嘅人馬都好劍拔弓傷啊！大家睇唔大家唔順眼啦？咁啊當然啦，大家嘅第一印象都會係覺得啊，一定係嗰堆咁嘅八爪魚人啊！咁我哋現時都唔好太有成見先啦，即係我啱啱都講咗好多嘅 stereotype。咁啊，啱啱正如大家所望啦，咁啊見到兩批嘅人馬咧，一批就係你望落去就係好原始，比較覺得大家望落去會覺得比較呢個野蠻人風嘅嗰個喺礦場嘅呢個擁有冇咁高科技水平嘅外星人啦 ，versus 另外嗰堆着錦衣華服啊，可以叫做係。然後好似一隻八爪魚咁樣嘅一個外星人啊，咁樣你見到兩班人一開始都其實大家望落去都應該有一個好基本嘅偏見存在啦。咁但係既然我哋講到自己咁巴閉喺度搞外交嘅話，咁我哋應該睇清楚少少先至再決定啦。咁嗰班礦場嘅工人嘅個派系嘅外星人，可能其實佢哋好好嘅咧，係咪先？咁啊，我哋就讓我哋繼續睇落去咯喎。呢個就係我哋暫時嘅少少嘅呢個劇情嘅暫時嘅分析啊。咁啊，睇下閃撲隊長，唔係閃撲隊長，因為佢以前係 captain， 佢唔係佢係 commander， 因為 captain 係國克隊長啦，咁係啦。咁啊，而家佢變咗外交官啦，大使啊。咁啊，閃撲大使啊，都覺得啊，感受到啊，我願意接受呢個秘密任務時候嘅呢個積極嘅態度啊，啊，真係得到呢個喺呢個聯邦史上嘅大英雄首肯，覺得我有啲前途啊，我以後啊平步青雲啊，可以改名做青雲哥。
That may be true. But let's keep an open mind going into the negotiations. Hopefully he's just one voice amongst many.
Then let's hope he's the outlier.
The Hotari have invited us as their guests, so we must show them the proper respect.
喂，唔好反晒光啦！我成日覺得啲咁嘅好似反晒光，然後地下濕踢踢咧，我覺得好污糟啊！我叉腰喎，態度唔好啊！呢啲我覺得。
Ambassador Spock, welcome to Hotari Prime.
The honor is mine, Your Majesty.
That the Federation would send one of their most respected representatives is not only an honor to the Hotari people and their queen, but a recognition of our stature and importance.
Let's get on with it, shall we? With all due respect to the Federation and their ambassador, they have no authority here. We are not members of their alliance. We are not subject to their rule, nor yours. We demand the immediate return of all mining operations to Elydian control, as it has been for centuries and will be for centuries more. That has always been our understanding.
That understanding has changed.
Then you invite war.
And if you cannot remain silent, you will be silenced. But his point is well taken. What is the Federation's interest in this matter? Perhaps you would have us trade one oppressor for another?
The Federation remains neutral. Our only interest is the peaceful resolution of this conflict. We are here at your request, Your Majesty.
For now.
I'm trying to keep an open mind here, but it's not easy. I thought they wanted us here.
Was there something you wanted to say, Captain?
Oh, no. My apologies.
And what about the Kobliad?
She's not
She can speak for herself, can't she? Then let her.
點解要行咁多級上去咧？我唔明喎。
Now then, what is your name?
Commander Jara Rydek, Your Majesty.
Being a Kobliad, you would know better than anyone. Your people suffered brutal treatment at the hands of the Cardassians.
哇屌！
Their injustice towards the Kobliad is as unimaginable as it is unforgivable. Not
唔好
unlike
攞
how
我
we have been
種族嘅歷史嚟討論
by
呢
the
件事喎。
Elydians.
As much as they'd have you believe they are the victims here, remember it was the Hotari who attacked us. Hundreds of innocent Elydians were slaughtered without mercy in those mines.
The blood is on their hands, not ours.
Quiet! If after all the Kobliad suffered, you finally had the chance to right that
哇
wrong,
屌！擺
to
我
get
上台
out from under
喎。
their control, would you take it? Or would you negotiate a peace?
There is
做
no
交底，做交
remedy
底。
for what the Kobliad suffered. And I fear who we might have become in pursuit of it. There is no justice if the oppressed become the oppressor. So I would willingly accept a peaceful resolution if it were offered. That is the real opportunity.
Perhaps, Commander Rydek. Perhaps. Unfortunately, that was not the case, was it?
No, it was not.
Peace is often elusive to those who need it most. The Federation is the most powerful, most advanced alliance in the galaxy.
哇！唔好咁
It's widely known we have
樣
an abundance of dilithium in our
啊！俾
minds.
啲咁嘅高帽我
And
哋
it's
帶
in
帶
your
唔起嘅大佬。
interest to secure a steady supply.
Your Majesty, if I may.
Ambassador Spock would have us believe you're here as a neutral party in the interest of peace. So why are you really here?
我點解嚟呢度
I
翻
want the
工啊？
truth, not your Federation rhetoric.
As Ambassador Spock has said, we've come seeking a peaceful resolution to this conflict, and have no interest in your dilithium.
I'm not nearly as naive as you must think. The Federation has done business with the Elydians for decades, which makes me question your motives.
What they haven't said, but cannot deny, is a simple truth. The dilithium trade would not and will no longer exist without Elydian involvement. We created it for the benefit of everyone, especially the Hotari. We've given them warp technology. We've let them share in the profits. We've made their lives infinitely better than before dilithium was discovered. All of that goes away if the Federation turns a blind eye to their treachery.
That is enough of your lies! The Hotari are quite capable of running the mines. We've done so for centuries.
啊，劈友劈友劈友，
Who
隻抄
deserves control of the dilithium trade and the mines on Tau?
點解
Who
啊
should the Federation recognize?
？recognize 乜撚嘢？打撚晒你兩個！
Or the Illydians? Can only be one or the other, not both.
喂，唔夠時間諗啊！喂，
If I have to choose only one, then it would have to be the Hotari.
Well said. How could the just and wise Federation make any other choice?
This is an outrage. The Federation has lost all credibility.
The mines are ours. Lydia will not be deterred. We will take back our mines by any means
Then you
necessary.
will see more blood spilled.
I am more than willing to address your concerns, Your Majesty. Yours as well, Representative. But I suggest we could have a more productive conversation with a smaller group. Perhaps only the most essential representatives.
啊，都係閃貨式嘅嘢，屌我呢做僆嘅點搞得掂啊？啱啊！
I suppose there is some sense to that.
我啲乜廢閪屌，何必呢？
I hope we meet again, Jara Ryder.
啊，大人物傾偈呢啲嘢唔關我事啊！唉，點啊？又我啊？阿頂，冇咁小氣咧，真係唔關我事㗎。
Spock and I will cover everything on the diplomatic front. You make nice with the locals and see if you can get some answers. We need to find out why the Hotari are so willing to risk war. What happened in those mines?
傾偈 time。哇！經過啱啱嘅劍拔公章啊，然後俾人擺咗上台啊，咁我被逼都唔係被逼嘅，咁但係呢一刻，咁最左膠嘅想法，咁你梗係永遠係幫助呢個勞方㗎啦，某程度上，咁係啦，咁即其實我個暗啞底呢，我自己係多數其實我心裏邊係中意幫，唔係中意，我係偏向資方多啲嘅。咁但係呢，咁喺一個咁左膠嘅世界呢，咁我哋就只能夠講，喂，勞方係啱嘅咁樣。即係例如我哋而家望到最近 Amazon 就準備又罷工啦，唔係又嘅，點解用個又字嘅？又準備罷工啦，咁樣嘅話。兩邊睇就係一邊嘅人就會諗啊死啦！我哋聖誕可能收唔切禮物噶咯噃。咁另外一邊嘅人就會諗咁我哋都需要尊重下啲員工，然後希望佢哋可以揾到30蚊一個鐘噶嘛，30蚊同我揾差唔多啫喎。咁我去做Amazon算啦。我覺得黐線喎，其實講真嗰句，你問我嘅話。但係咁當然大家都需要有一個更加好嘅生活嘅，我覺得係重要嘅其實。
Soothing。
咁啊，好啦，我哋而家開始傾偈啦，又去我英雄傾下偈先啦。
Commander, I'm glad you've chosen to side with the Hotari. I knew the Federation would see through the Illydians' baseless claims and protect the interests of my people.
To be clear, I'm not on either side of this conflict. Our only interest is peace.
I will keep that in mind.
I assume you were there, the day the mines were seized from the Illydians.
Not seized. Reclaimed. And restored to their rightful owners. Yes, I was there. We had to be decisive. Before the Illydians could even realize their worst nightmare was upon them.
Did you have help from someone else?
Hotari stands alone against the Illydian forces. We don't need help from anyone. They respect one thing above all else, and that is force. The greater the force, the more certain the outcome. Any talk of making peace is just that, and worth little without the strength to secure it. Which makes me wonder about your ship, the Resolute. Undoubtedly the Federation's finest warship.
嚇，其實最廢好廢嘅一部艦嚟嘅啫，唔勁噶，一啲都唔強啊。
Or is that not true? Maybe I've misjudged it.
I wouldn't say state of the art, but the Resolute is plenty capable and can hold its own against just about anything.
Let's hope so. Because at the moment, it's the only thing preventing them from wiping us off the map.
Sidron.
A pleasure meeting you, Commander. I'm sure we'll cross paths again.
哇！你叫一個社恐嘅人，然後同呢一個咁短嘅時間裏邊做咁多嘅呢個社交決定，咁樣好咩？同班墨魚傾下偈先。
I'm probably not telling you anything you don't already know, but these negotiations rely on the Federation's neutrality, as does any hope you might have for a supply of dilithium in the future. So, why you would choose to side with the Hotari escapes me. Without Lydian involvement, there is no dilithium trade. But clearly, you weren't aware.
Of all my concerns, dilithium is not one of them. I could care less about securing a supply, now or in the future.
I'd be curious to know if the rest of the Federation shares your indifference. Major Salit Arminta, Special Attaché, Lydian Armed Forces. Pleasure to meet you, Commander. I have my issues with the Hotari, but I have to give them some credit. They know how to seize an opportunity. Inciting an uprising the same day as a massive, once-in-a-lifetime ion storm.
Our assumption was that this storm was just an anomaly.
Yes, a very convenient anomaly. At least that was what we were told. Of course, I wasn't there. But who am I to say otherwise?
Something tells me there's more to the story. So what really happened?
Well, the official story is that it was the storm that enabled the revolt. How else do a bunch of unarmed, unorganized miners seize control of an entire moon, much less thousands of mines? But I've talked to people who were there. They tell a different story. They say they're lucky to have escaped with their lives. That it was more than just the storm. That somehow the miners were able to harness the energy from the storm. I know it sounds crazy. I'm not even sure I believe it myself. But that's what they said.
You just answered your own question. How do a group of miners do something that in theory can't be done? That's how. Harnessing the storm.
But even if it's true, how does that even happen?
You tell me.
If you'll excuse me, Commander Ryder.
我想問多啲問題啊。
Commander, if I could have a quick word with you.
Of course.
I'm encouraged to see the Federation supporting my people. I'm afraid of what might happen without your help.
If anyone deserves thanks, it's Ambassador Spock.
啱啊！我打工嘅咋，屌我見識咁多嘢啊！我俾你個女王陛下逼到爭啲講唔到嘢，係咪先？
glad. We need his help before the situation escalates further than it already has. It's been very trying. I saw you speaking with the Illydian. I'm sure they're painting themselves as the victims.
The Illydians are under the impression the Hotari are somehow the cause of the ion storm.
Which I'm sure they attribute to our lack of experience or sheer inferiority. But we are as much the victims of this horrific storm as they are. For the first time in our history, the Hotari have the upper hand. We see ourselves as strong instead of downtrodden.
咁即係其實你哋應該有啲嘢啦。
Old voices shouted down. Galvin and Sidron have become national heroes. Now they have the Queen's ear. Better or worse, depending on your perspective.
I take it they're against a negotiated peace with the Illidians.
Heroes tend to want more of what made them heroic. If it were up to them, they'd wage all-out war and bring ruin upon us all. My fear has been that the Illidians will launch an attack and crush us. You've seen their starship, no doubt. They could have retaken the mines whenever they wanted to, but it never happened. And as strange as this may sound, I'd almost say they're afraid. I just don't know what they're afraid of. It's still the same bluster and bravado you would expect from them.
Do you think it has something to do with the ion storm? Right now, it's stronger than ever, isn't it?
It's entirely possible. I'm not a scientist, but I do know the storm has knocked out all kinds of systems. So maybe the Illidians weren't willing to risk their ships, given all the interference. Since the day of the revolt, Galvin has seized control of the mines and restricted all access. No one's allowed without his personal authorization. And they've taken over a section of the palace with just as much secrecy and security. I'm told it could be something they brought back from the mines. I've made inquiries, but everyone pretends it doesn't exist. I strongly suspect they're hiding something.
Why would they do that?
I don't know. But that's what concerns me. Whatever they're hiding, it can't be good.
How can we know?
I'd better see what's happening.
Do you think you can find out what they're hiding?
唔好講啲唔講啲，然後就
I
躝
need to
咗
see
入房。
proof of something before I can make my case to the Federation.
I can try, but even if I found it, I might not know what to make of it.
Take this. You can use it to capture whatever you find, and then send it to me.
Thank you. I will let you know what I find. And I look forward to our meeting again.
Oh, 又要揾艦長咯，艦長去咗邊呢？個個講啲唔講啲，有講等於冇講，好揾着我嚟搞嘅啫。但即係我想問咧，點解咧佢哋因為咧頭先我一開始有個好大嘅疑問就係咧，咁樣望住佢喎，咁你點樣照明咧？你淨係靠底下嗰幾眼燈啊？咁然後另一擰翻過嚟望，原來呢度都仲有多條光管嘅。OK， 咁啊合理啦。
They seem proud of their culture. Pride can lead to rash action.
仲冇其他嘢可以觀察下先。
Well, that was a disaster.
What happened?
The Hotari refused to concede anything, so the Illidians stormed out.
The Hotari did not invite us here as peacekeepers. I hope your efforts were more fruitful than ours.
Gravitational harmonics failing to resolve. Warp bubble stability degrading. Increase output to maximum.
Increasing warp output to maximum.
It's happening again.
It is evident that presently, the Resolute cannot achieve warp propulsion.
Since our diagnostics rule out any problems with our warp systems or anything about the ship, the problem appears to be the fabric of space itself.
Space itself? You're saying something about this region of space prevents warp travel?
Prevents it, or can't sustain it.
However improbable, that appears to be the case.
We need to know more.
Otherwise, it'll be an extended stay in the Hotari system.
Well, couldn't we slowboat it out of here at impulse speed?
It may come to that, but we don't know how far this warp dead zone extends. Captain Solano is on his way back from the negotiations, and I want to have some answers for him when he gets here.
Indeed. Given the facts at hand, we may be able to deploy subspace probes around the ship to construct a clearer picture of the phenomenon.
Around the ship. I'll prep a shuttle.
好精神啊！等我準備好隻太空穿梭機先，部穿梭機啦咁樣，又笑到成個狠樣咁嘅樣咧，真係好可愛啊佢。
I'm setting up a waypoint at a distance roughly corresponding to the edge of our warp field. When we get there, I'll deploy the first probe.
哇！要揸飛機咯喎，好興奮喎！好，咁啊，我哋喺飛機之前咧，我哋不如 take 個 quick break 啦。咁我都想去一去廁所啊，洗個面咁樣嘅，因為始終咧而家我呢邊都11點幾啦。其實老人家會想早瞓覺，但係我覺得點樣都再直播多陣啦。咁啊，可能直播多個零鐘頭啦。咁樣嘅話就首先多謝大家繼續陪我啦。咁嘅咧，我哋而家 take 個 quick break，咁我哋之後好快翻嚟啊。咁樣啊嘅話，我又 show 下我個新玩具，等我俾幾秒鐘啊我啊，睇下先，應該咁樣刪咗個 game 聲，然後咧睇下先，誒唔得啊，睇下唔得先，點解啊？呢個有，然後呢一個咧，唔係啊，轉唔啱咩？等我再望下先啊。好，變到啦，咁啊，我哋就等陣再翻嚟啦。咁啊，大家等我一陣先啦。
Westbrook, the Resolute systems are calibrated to receive the probe's readings. We are standing by to reproduce the warp field collapse after the first probe is deployed.
Thank you, Mr. Chovak. We'll be in position shortly.
And, Mr. Diaz, do take care in piloting the shuttlecraft. Now is not the time to indulge in the human penchant for joyriding.
Chovak probably isn't such a fun guy to work for, huh?
I always seem to find a way to push his buttons. Yeah, I think he'd blast me out of the airlock if he thought it would help increase engine efficiency by 0.1%.
Well, don't worry about it. Chovak's opinion isn't the only one that matters. Last time I checked, I was still Chief Science Officer, and you made a hell of an impression on Ambassador Spock. I'm the one who should be worried with this new First Officer on board. This is far enough.
哇！原來我頭先講咗咁多嘢都係冇講嘢，哎呀，太好啦，實在，大家都聽唔到啊！啲秘密太可惜啦。
Westbrook here. The first probe is deployed.
Understood. We are reading it. We are about to replay the simulation.
你又知我有講嘢嘅？咦，好衰㗎你！冇啊，我頭先講啊。我啊
Just can't get a handle on her. Commander Rydek.
好期待有妹豬 message 我啊，但係我冇啊。咁如果大家有妹豬啊，記得介紹俾我。
She did listen to my advice and use the whole polarity trick to get you through that excursion alive. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the new XO. I'm sure she's a fine officer, even if we don't see eye to eye. But she didn't go through what the rest of us did. You know that. And it's hard to figure out why she'd be the one Solano chose instead of, well, one of us.
I've heard some good things. You should at least give her a chance.
I'll take that under advisement.
Test is running. Warp field collapse in 3, 2, 1, mark.
Whoa. All right, that is definitely a problem with the fabric of space. We need to get another probe out there.
雪雪豬可以，但係我要等多好多年，我等唔切啊！有冇諗過啊
With 2 points of data, the Resolute and the probe, we've managed to get an interference pattern. I'm setting a waypoint to a particularly strong area of interference. We'll deploy the second probe there.
哦，咁我哋就要飛去第二個地區啦。咁啊，呢度
I'm going to give you a piece of advice I wish someone had given me. Make sure you're never just one thing. And don't get so focused on what's in front of your face that you lose sight of the big picture. Before Rydek showed up, the captain pulled me into his ready room and told me he didn't think I had the people skills to be first officer. What a load of crap. I mean, if he'd said that about Chovak, sure.
Well, if you're asking, I think you're a people person. After all, here we are. Me, an enlisted officer. You, one of the senior staff. Talking like old buddies.
I should send Solano to talk to you.
Bring him on.
I'm sure you can handle him. You've got potential. You're a capable engineer. You're good in the field. Keep up the good work, and who knows? A solid jack of all departments like you could be Commander-in-Chief of Starfleet one day. Hell, Admiral Jellicoe started as a shuttle pilot. And there are places to go in the enlisted ranks, too.
I don't know. I'm pretty happy where I am.
You must be a glutton for punishment. Lieutenant Commander Chovak has been known to take decades to warm up to people.
你個 sensor 個 data 會慢咗少少先出現啊！我差唔多就嚟撞到嚿石啊，你先出現喺個 mon 嗰度喎，黐線嘅喎。哦，到啦。
Here, this is close enough. Stop the engines. Deploying the probe. Westbrook to Commander Chovak. We're ready for another sampling of data.
Very good. Running the simulation again. Warp field collapse in 3, 2, 1. On.
There it is again.
I saw it. It seems to be directional.
Well, what about the scans? Anything?
Here's the readings in relation to our local space. We've got the Resolute, Otari Prime, and the probes.
All this interference is overloading the sensor buffers. We're gonna have to triangulate the sensors manually. We got something.
These markers indicate peaks in the gravimetric interference patterns.
Let's see if I can find some more. Hold up. This is coming from the moon.
A beam that blocks warp travel.
Aimed right at us.
Someone is doing this intentionally. I don't know how they're doing it. This is like nothing I've ever seen.
Why would they be doing this? We came here to help these people. And now we're getting hit by some warp-killing weapon?
Now, look here. These are current readings of the ion storm.
These concentrations. They line up with the interference pattern. The storm. And this
即係證明呢
beam,
個風暴
they're
唔
coming
係
from
自
the
然
same
造成
place.
㗎啦。
Whatever petty local conflict brought us here, it's just a small part of something much bigger.
即係證明我哋而家係俾人 set up 咗啦。
Presently, we don't have an explanation for how they're doing this. But one thing is clear. This is no fluke.
Thank you, Mr. Westbrook. I want a full briefing when I'm back on board. Solano out. A targeted weapon that inhibits warp travel. Coming from the moon Tau.
That would explain the difficulties my shuttle encountered. More importantly, the tenor of the Hotari during the negotiations.
And here I thought the Elydians would be the problem. Coming to peace talks in a warship. This wasn't supposed to be so complicated.
We're right to be worried. If they're targeting the Resolute and we can't go to warp, that effectively leaves us at their mercy.
Which puts us in a rather difficult position.
Especially if they have more tricks up their sleeve.
Tylus, the Hotari representative, said she thought they found something in the mines. Galvin and Sidron brought it back to the palace, but they're keeping it under tight security. She's going to investigate it. I gave her my tricorder. I expect she'll contact us soon.
You found an ally.
Why would Tylus help us? Go behind her people's back? It's a fair question, considering.
She's worried that her people are being dragged into something that isn't going to end well for them. She's trying to save them.
That may be true.
She's certainly more likely to help than the other Hotari we've met.
That raises another question. Specifically, what do the other Hotari have to gain in bringing us here, only to make this hostile maneuver against us? There must be some motivation.
Unless they changed their minds between when they asked and when we got here.
Sidron was very curious when we spoke outside the Queen's chamber. He wanted to know all about us, our ship, the Federation. He wasn't giving any answers. He was looking for them.
Well, I'm sure you didn't tell him too much. I don't think the Elydians know what's really down on that moon either.
Major Arminta said the revolt defied explanation. That the Hotari miners somehow harness the
哇！
energy of
證
the
明我頭
storm.
先啲收集情報都有啲料到啊！
Doing that is beyond even our capabilities.
So is a weapon that disrupts warp travel.
There have been civilizations and entities, both past and present, far more technologically advanced than the Federation.
The Illydians and Hotari don't fall into that category.
But that is all the more reason to investigate further.
Commander Rydek, sorry to interrupt. We've received an urgent call from Hotari. The Queen's advisor, Tylus, has asked to speak with you.
Put her through.
Galvin and Citron are still with the Queen. I've enlisted help to gain access to the room they have under guard. I don't have much time.
I'm not supposed to leave my post.
It's only for a moment. I so appreciate your help.
真係核突啊！啲畫面。
I found something. I'm sending you a scan.
Got it. Tylus, if we needed to gain access to the mines on Tau, is that something you could help us with?
I suppose it wouldn't be easy, but I have to go.
Tylus.
Can we reconnect?
Sorry, Captain. We've lost all contact.
好醜樣啊！啲
We can
人。
only hope she escaped without harm.
It was hard to tell.
We have to help her. Send another shuttle.
We're
or
not
maybe...
doing anything yet. Not until we know more. Let's see the scan of whatever the hell that was.
唉，阿艦長又嗱，阿索拉洛艦長啊，喜歡我啊，對泰拉斯因為幫助聯邦可能會遭遇危險而表現出嘅擔心態度，但係你唔俾我去幫佢喎，係一個咩玩法呢？
Tylus suspects this came from the mines on Tau.
It appears to be of ancient origin, but the markings are unfamiliar.
We can run a full analysis when we get back to the Resolute. But if this came from the mines, then it might be the key to how they got the upper hand against the Illydians.
Then we have to go into the mines.
The Federation would not allow that. We were, after all, sent here to be a neutral party in a peace negotiation. However, we could demonstrate that the Hotari have acted in bad faith, which would enable us to investigate the mines on Tau with full justification. But of course, we would need conclusive proof before taking action. Otherwise, it could put us in a difficult position.
Whatever this artifact is may be proof enough. At least to satisfy the Federation.
Especially if we can show the Hotari are controlling the warp disruption. And targeting the Resolute.
We may have a better understanding once we analyze the device. But a mission to the mines, covert or otherwise, is not out of the question. And I will handle the Federation.
As I was telling Carter, I want all the data I can get on this warp problem. And the negotiating team's shuttle has been recording data all the way back from Hotari. Even better than our probes. So pull the sensor and engine ISOs from the Melville when it sets down.
Will do.
I'll join you and Chovak down in engineering to run another analysis after the briefing.
I didn't like this warp problem when we thought it was some astronomical anomaly. And I like it a hell of a lot less now that we know someone is doing it to us. How does it work? What do we even do about it?
What do you say we pull these chips and find out?
Took some damage on the way. That ionic interference scored the hull plating. Might be some micro welds. Let's try pulling together.
All right.
3, 2, 1. It won't budge. Gotta be the storm damage. we need to... Welcome back. Any excitement down on the surface?
Excitement? No. Nothing like that.
Hey, can you hand me the EJ7 interlock? From the toolbox.
I don't know what that is.
Not much use for one on a security detail, huh? Carter?
Yeah, I'll get it.
點樣咁嬲豬樣咧？
Okay, I'll apply pressure while you decouple the panel.
先，又要喐貓屎掣啦。
Here, I'll help.
OK 喎。喂
We've got this.
Open up and say ah.
Thanks for the hand. We have to get these isolinear chips down to engineering.
No problem. You really know everything about these ships, don't you? The tools, the systems. Like a walking Starfleet technical manual.
Well, I wouldn't say everything, but I know my stuff.
I can see that.
Come on, start pulling chips.
OK， 繼續整嘢。點啊？炆嘢遊戲，你都幾無聊喎，其實啊，跌咗啊！
What's this?
Some kind of crystal formation?
Whoa. This substance is a quantized spin crystallization of hydrogen, carbon, and lithium. It's emitting tetrametric pulses at an interval of 3.8422 seconds.
Quantized crystallization isn't natural. I mean, it's only theoretical as a means to engineer matter on a subatomic level. What's it doing in there?
唔知啊，見到金殘殘係咪先？喂，你身為一個工程師，你應該明白身為一個科學人應該明白唔可以徒手就去攞啲咁嘢嘅喎，啲咁奇怪嘅嘢你咁就去拿取，會唔會過分咗少少咧？師傅，太好啦！有人指出個問題所在啦。
Regulation 364 subsection 9 orders that in the case of an unknown foreign substance infiltrating a sealed system, it will be placed in secure confinement before further examination. Retrieve a containment module.
Don't you think we're more equipped to deal with whatever this is?
No. Before anything else, this is a security issue. You don't even know what this is.
Which is why we need to study it.
Once it's contained.
Well, if it's not natural, then someone might have put it there. It could be a tracking device, some kind of sabotage, or even a bomb.
Which is why we need to get it to the containment lab.
Come on.
I can't make an exception. Not even for you.
I'm still going to report these crystals to Commander Westbrook when we send the shuttle data.
And I will inform my superiors. I'm taking this just as seriously as you are. But I overheard talk about the warp disruption on the shuttle. Now these crystals? Maybe this situation is more than we can handle with just a science vessel. We could trigger a distress call, get Starfleet to send more ships. Or I could send a message to my old CO on the Adirondack. Get some combat-tested vessels. We shouldn't do this alone.
We're at the edge of the quadrant. Help isn't just gonna pop over like we're in Sector 001.
Wouldn't hurt to try.
You talk like you've never had your backs up against a wall before. This is Starfleet. We solve our own problems.
Okay, stand back.
咁樣都幾好啊！咁樣就可以擺喺個 containment 裏邊，我 OK
We'll
喎，
get
我
it
覺
set
得。
up for you. I'll let you know when it's safely confined.
Oh, we'll be there.
Last thing you want is to study this down in main engineering and have it explode next to the warp core. Almost forgot.
Can't have that.
哇！俾女錫啊！好
For a
100
second,
分。
I thought she'd gone cold on you. Like she might have changed her mind. But I guess this whole situation has her spooked. Maybe she knows more than us? Or it's because this is all happening so fast? But she usually doesn't scare easy.
Yeah, there was something a little off about her.
Like that talk about sending a distress call? That was pretty out there. She was probably just thinking out loud. I'm sure she'll come to her senses. This mission has enough complications stacking up.
Now, we'll get through it. You, me, and Miranda too.
Commander Rydek was able to work behind the scenes during the negotiations and made contact with a representative from the...
好，咁啊到呢一刻啊，咁咧小弟啊就覺得啊有點累啊，咁啊不如早啲收啦，都其實差唔多開咗2個鐘頭噶啦，咁樣就聽日啊，睇下買完餸之後有冇嘢做啦，冇嘢做其實我有嘢做嘅，其實要砌 LEGO 啦，咁啊唔知啊，再睇下啦，有機會嘅話睇下聽日都開一陣台，咁啊我都想快啲打爆呢隻 game 啊，因為呢畫面真係有啲差。即使我咁中意呢個《星空奇遇記》，我覺得有少少難頂啊！咁樣就係大概係咁啦。咁我覺得咧，而家個故事進展都 OK 嘅。咁樣我覺得如果聽日再玩一玩嘅話，就都會幾開心啦。咁樣就其實今日就差唔多啦。咁嘅話咧，就多謝大家收睇啦，有你嘅朋友啦。咁樣係啦，就大概係咁樣啦。都唔知有啲乜嘢可以再講，咁但係唔理啦。咁啊，多謝各位嚟臨啦。咁喺現代 meantime 啊，咁我就不如帶大家去抽團去我一個朋友嗰度啦。咁啊，今日就係去睇下佢啦。咁就係叫遊子嘅，咁佢係一個 VTuber 嚟嘅，都 VTuber 嘅真人中間啦。咁樣。中意嘅就去跟蹤下去望下佢啦，咁啊多謝各位收睇啦，咁今日就係咁多啦，我哋就係咁先啦，咁啊下次再見啦，多謝各位啦，拜拜啦，5、4、3、2、1，